Drink Tank.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Drink Tank.
Is that what they call this?
That's what I call it.
Oh, you're
So,
the only one, right? I'm
pretty
drinking
much.
coffee
It's
on
just
Drink
me.
Tank. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm drinking coffee on Drink
Don't
Tank.
matter. We've done plenty of alcohol-free drink tanks from Plumbers Over. I'm joined by my buddy Maynard. Many of you famously remember. We just got done seeing the movie Immaculate.
And they were.
And they were. And there was.
And it was.
And it was. So,
It was Neon.
it's neon. Neon.
Which wants you to think it's A24, but it's not.
It so desperately does.
It does, but
Especially,
it's not.
especially in this one. So normally we'd start and do like our spoiler-free takes. I don't think there's all that much to talk about with this movie unless we get into spoilers.
All I knew from the trailer, and
All
then
right,
there was
here we
an
go.
interview that Sydney Sweeney was doing. That's what came up on my social media. Sydney Sweeney doing an interview about this movie. And I don't know if we have some footage of that interview.
I'll find some footage.
But it'll stop you scrolling, for sure.
I'm very interested in
And
that
I was like,
footage.
what was that about a movie? Was it a movie?
Best interview I've ever seen on mute.
All I knew is that I had to see the movie now, and it hurt when I thought about not seeing the movie.
So, yeah. Judging by Immaculate and the fact that she's in a nun's, what are they called? Habit?
Yep.
And I was
She's
gonna
got
say-
some nasty habits.
I was going to say costume, but it's a habit. I had a feeling it had to do with...
her garb, her garments.
Yeah, I had a feeling it had to deal with conception, Immaculate Conception. She's going to be a
yeah.
pregnant nun. It's nefarious. So the only question is it a demon baby? Is it some kind of church apocalypse baby?
Church
is
apocalypse. It's coming.
Yeah, I don't know. So I went into it again, pretty much knowing nothing.
What's up with all the religious movies like
So
this
many.
year, right?
So many of them.
Pray for the Devil,
No, it's
Pope's Exorcist.
yes, that was last year.
well,
this year we have like the first Omen.
The last 2 years kind of
Yeah.
count as 1 year.
That's fair.
So I'm talking about and then Exorcist, the
Yeah.
new Exorcist.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, and
What was the one we watched?
we watched Pope's Exorcist.
And we watched
And Pray for the Devil.
I think it was
And I don't remember the end of Nefarious. Was that a church one?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a lot of crap.
We watch a lot of stuff. Yeah, our time is not well spent. Or it
disagree.
is. Yeah. So anyway, so it stars Sydney Sweeney as an American nun in Italy, and
Should have been the title.
an American nun in Italy. I see a bad nun rising.
Hey, you ain't gonna get none.
Yeah, ain't gonna get none. He had a few bad habits. Never cross Mother Superior is a joke I made during the movie.
We were very disruptive in this movie, and people did not appreciate
Yes,
it.
so-
We are bad co-theater existers. What do you call that?
The movie itself, it's hard for me to take it seriously. And to the movie's credit, I think it was hard for me to take it seriously.
Well-
because it takes itself very seriously. I think it thinks it's a serious movie.
I think maybe it does.
There's very little in the way of character development. There aren't that many characters to keep track of, which is good. That's the net positive. They set up everything you need to know about the movie pretty early on, and they pay it off.
Kind of more of a synopsis first, too,
No,
before
this is just the spoiler-free thing. So if you want 90...
Spoiler-free.
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to get
Sydney
into spoiler.
Sweeney. You want to see Sydney Sweeney dressed up as a nun for 90 minutes?
It's not as erotic as
Work
you'd
on
think.
the cheerleader Sydney Sweeney movie
Yeah.
and the librarian Sydney Sweeney movie.
But
please.
anyways, it's 90 minutes long. It's awkwardly paced at times, but at the end of the day, it's 90 minutes long. Sydney Sweeney plays a pregnant nun.
I had a really good time. I
Yeah,
don't know what he's complaining
we
about.
had a blast. Grab a buddy, go to the theater.
Sydney Sweeney she's out of her depth with just about every line read she makes. But, she's a journeyman performer. She's just beginning
It's fine.
her acting journey. So we've got to let her have time to grow and to develop.
To grow
as a
and develop.
performer.
Yeah.
So
This feels like a movie that would have been straight to Shudder.
it should have. That would have been
It
fun.
should have been straight to
But that's
Shudder.
why I wanted to go to theaters. I want to send a message to Hollywood. Keep putting Sydney Sweeney in movies.
There were
not enough people in this movie
6
theater.
of us in the theater, 2:30 on a Saturday, which admittedly is early for a horror movie.
Yeah, I think everyone who wanted to see this would have seen it Thursday night, late night.
There were 2 elderly gentlemen sitting behind us. I'm pretty sure one of them fell asleep.
Oh, I hope that's what
And
they
there
were
was,
doing.
and there was probably a later 20s, early 30s couple in front of us.
Who did not like our laughing.
Nonplussed by our laughter.
Not enjoy
So,
it. Sorry if you're watching.
Yeah. So it was pretty much minus cigars. We were Cape Fear the whole time. Not really, but
Not,
you get the
not
you
that
get the
bad,
point.
but when we laughed, we laughed.
We laughed
for
pretty hard, and there were a
sure.
few things to laugh really hard at, which I think.
Laughing, you can't get kicked out of the theater for laughing. I can laugh at whatever I want, though.
Yeah, so if you're gonna go see a matinee. It's 90 minutes. Bring a buddy. Prepare to like kind of laugh at like cheese. If you like cheese, this movie's right up your alley.
Yeah. Because Sydney.
Let's get into spoilers because there are so many things I want to talk about.
Yeah, so let's go to the setting, right? So the setting is this convent in Italy. So Sydney Sweeney's an American, and suddenly she finds herself in Italy. She doesn't speak Italian at all,
Except when she understands it perfectly.
She picked up a word, but the first thing they say to her is something about like "speak Italiano," and she just stares at them bafflingly, and it's like,
Yeah.
you had to have at least picked up Italiano like by now, because she was like, "It's coming along." No, that's page 1. The cover is Italiano is on the cover, dear. Yeah, you know?
Yeah. She didn't know Prego.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of weird stuff, and it's like the Italian customs is like it's weird when somebody comes with a one-way passport. She's a nun. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
She's just showing up and then leaving immediately? I don't know. Because it's kind of implied this is not the first time this has happened either. At the covenant, the woman says he has an eye for bringing women to this covenant.
Yes.
Broken birds, she calls
Yes.
them. So, I don't know. Maybe it's not the same guys. It doesn't matter.
But as we end up developing and finding out the plot, we find out that a lot of those people are complicit in it. But we'll get to that. So anyway, she's dropped into the convent. She takes her vows.
Yeah.
They have like one of the nails that was in Christ's foot.
Yeah, this is the big thing is the head father there.
A relic.
He says that
I did not think they could have fathers at these convent.
I don't know, it doesn't matter.
things.
So he's there and he's saying that he spent most of his life as a biologist.
Ding, ding, ding. We both looked at each other.
Yeah,
and
we're
did a
like,
ding, 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 ding. All right.
He's like, but he found no answers to get him closer to Christ there. So he came here. And then the immediate next scene is Sydney Sweeney sees this woman like prostrating herself in front of this relic. She's like, what? And Mother Superior comes over and is like, oh, this is a nail that was...
That was she was prostrating herself?
Yeah, that's what you lay yourself
I usually
face
go
down.
to see the doctor to do that.
No.
I gotta get one of those exams too.
Yeah, you just
if
lay
you're,
down.
If you're watching this, actually, you should probably go get one of those exams too.
Yeah, just not from your priest. So...
Well...
So
nice enough.
they see she's like, oh, this is one of the nails that went through Christ. And they're like, no. She's like, no
Totally.
way.
The guy who sold it to us totally told us it was.
No, it was. Who was
it? Was Hannibal's mother. Like,
it was Constantine's
mother, whatever.
Went to, the
Keanu
woman.
Reeves.
Yeah. And, nice. And so at that point, I lean over to him and I'm like, biologist, nail that went through Christ. They're going to try and like clone or
We were
Jesus or
talking
something.
during the movie. We were putting the plot together right there.
And so that's exactly what it was. They don't waste any of your time with it.
Well,
they get
Sydney
right to it.
gets sick.
Well, she starts throwing up.
She's throwing up, and so they give her some tests, and they call her in to grill her. I'm like, hey, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah,
That's not what you're supposed to do. And inevitably you find out. I mean, they're the ones that, and
Got
I don't know
pregnant.
how was that. Maybe when she was out.
That was the nightmare. Remember her nightmare sequence where everybody's standing at her legs and they show them like jabbing. She thinks it's the spike.
So why did she pass out when she held the spike the first time? They drugged her
I
with
think
the
they
wine?
drugged her with the wine. They drugged her with the wine, and that's why she's like, oh,
And
remember?
then they turkey basted her?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. They didn't just put the nail in there and swish around and hope for the best. So
Well, they tried that at first.
I don't get it, Padre. So yes, she ends up pregnant.
They nailed her.
They nailed it, and she gets pregnant, and then in the most confusing edit I've ever seen, it smash cuts to her vomiting with a very like flowery like text overlay that says second trimester, and we laughed so hard the people in front of us turned around and scowled.
It was funny.
You gotta see it because it's like it's so bonkers
And
and
there
out
was
of
never
place.
a first trimester
Yeah,
placard, so it
there's
just
no-
comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was so bonkers.
And to measure time that way too was
Yeah.
this was not it was not what I expected.
And it's like it's insulting to the audience because now she very clearly has a pregnancy belly and she's throwing up. We could have assumed the passage of time.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
like there's no reason to put like a text overlay.
But they make her a saint because they do. I don't know why they. Of course, they turkey basted her, so they know that.
Right, but they go through the process
But
of
she
like
still could have been lying and breaking her vows and been preggers with somebody else before. She could have been still
Right, yeah,
been
it could have
lying.
been. But Yes, that happens actually because you're right. Because they show them like dressing her up kind of like the Virgin Mary.
We laughed at
we
that. We
laughed so
laughed
hard. She's like crying as
I
they
hope they
take her.
meme that. I know.
She's like crying as they take the
it's
veil.
like the
and stuff.
Midsummer
Oh,
Cry.
It was awful.
It's the Midsummer Cry.
It was, but it was so cartoonish and like so
And why
obvious.
is she unhappy?
Yeah. Because they established that she is
believes
strong of
she's-
faith. She should have been ecstatic.
Yes,
She should have
that's what
been
I'm saying.
ecstatic.
She should have been happy.
She believed God himself saved her for a specific reason. And if that was the reason, that should have been like, oh, wow.
And
this is what.
so now-
she never once is happy that she was
One
chosen
of the
by
other
God.
nuns is jealous of this honor, and she
Two of
attacks
them.
her.
Two of the nuns seem a little jealous.
Second one, I think,
Is more, like,
more
doubtful.
unhappy with the way they're
Raising her up.
right.
Yeah.
But the first one is straight up jealous, and she said it should have been me
Mm-hmm.
in Italian or something. So apparently she doesn't understand it.
It should have been a me.
Yeah. So apparently she knew about this process, was voluntary to it, which makes sense to me.
Yeah, because she said they need to try again.
Was just upset that she couldn't do it, which makes sense to me. I don't understand why you would kidnap people to do it against their will.
Yeah, it seems like there are people out there who'd be excited
Absolutely.
at the prospect of carrying the Savior.
Totally.
Which
a
they
bunch
established,
of
yeah.
nuns in that
Yeah.
building would be happy to do it right
Yeah.
there. And if it's just like, well, it just doesn't take except to her, you know?
Who wants to be the mother of the new Christ? And none raise their hand.
Because, I mean, let's not lie, it's supposed to be like a parallel to rape, where she's being impregnated against her will and forced to carry something to term against her will. That's the story of the movie. Let's not, come on. It's very...
I was getting more of like, hey, remember The Omen? What if we jog it a little to the side? I mean, they even have the
But
woman
the
jump off
message
the
is
roof and
she
stuff.
absolutely. There's a ton of
She was probably
Omen
pushed, though.
and ton of the evil
Rosemary's
religious
Baby.
stuff is all there. But at the end of the day, she is
Yeah.
impregnated against her will and
Right.
being forced to carry it to term against her will by a father, by the man running the
You're reading
nunnery.
too much into this.
No, remember when we said the movie's taking itself seriously?
Yeah.
This is what the movie thinks it's doing.
Yeah.
100%. And we'll get to the ending eventually, but my point too, though, is that there isn't a need to impregnate her secretly.
Right.
Tons of women would do this quite happily for the reasons that one
Right.
of the other characters named is, I mean, you're going to get bored and you're not, you can work and earn money without having to take your clothes off, and now you don't even have to work as the
Yeah.
nun. You just have to baby. As
Well,
they
and
say.
again, it's certainly disappointing because they try and establish. We're constantly told that when she survived drowning, she believes God spared her for a reason.
Possible.
They should have just leveraged that. They don't. The movie's too lazy to even be like, "This is what God saved you for." Like the first, like, "My God, you're pregnant. This must be why God saved you." That's the first thing you do. Guess what? She just swallowed the hook. You know.
Yeah.
But no, none of that. It was a mess. Second trimester had us laughing real hard.
There's a really great montage of them like. Oh, I think it's actually earlier in that. It's when she's first getting accustomed
Oh, where they're
to
doing
the place.
nun work?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
doing all the nun work and they're like happy. It's like a nuntage.
Yeah, it was so bonkers. Like they're like playfully doing laundry.
I like. Again, I'm
Yeah.
not saying bad things about this movie.
But anyway, so like the whole second part of the movie is essentially like what happened to me kind of thing, and then
Yeah,
they reveal at the end of the second act or trimester in this case, they tell her what happened, and so after that they do a cut to the third trimester, like it's a pretty jarring cut again, and they do another text overlay.
Well, she is trying to escape, and one thing this movie established in the beginning that from this convent,
yeah,
you know
none
how
shall
many-
escape.
Yes,
None shall pass.
exactly.
And
Escapes, none.
yeah, but here's my question too: why did if that woman tried to escape? I'm assuming she was one of the
The
pregnancies.
pre-credit very beginning shows
Yeah.
a woman trying to run out of this convent, and they capture her,
And bury her alive.
break her legs, and bury her alive. It was hardcore, and she screamed all the way through the credits. It was a great open, good cold open. I like that.
But if she was still pregnant, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
She may not have, or she may have just been one of those other complicit
Just
nuns
had like
who just
a-
got tired of the
Could have
of
been. We
being
don't really know.
part of it.
Yeah, so-
But you know, so anyway, we go to the third, and she's uncovering the conspiracy. Well, in Act 2, she tried to escape.
And they tell her straight up once they have her in the wheelchair,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when it jumps to the third act, and
And they kind of hobble her. They brand her feet with Christ crosses so that it really hurts to walk.
I guess, but it's like that heals and becomes leather. I don't know if it messes up your arch. It didn't impact.
I think it's going to keep you off your feet for a few weeks.
Do you remember though? Like she escapes from the car and starts running. So obviously it's not very good at hobbling. So
That was a good plan, though.
they established early on that she can't kill.
Yeah,
They established early on she can't kill a chicken, and then she's faking a miscarriage, and I lean over to him. I'm like, it's chicken, and it sure enough was chicken
It
blood.
was beef.
Where's the beef? So anyway, she's in the car. They find out. She runs, and he leans over and goes, she's now outrunning those full-grown men while pregnant. Dude, it wasn't even close. Like, they were just, like, right behind her the whole time.
Even with her little head, like,
Yeah.
she's like 6 months pregnant.
Yeah, this was the third trimester, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these were, fairly athletic-looking
Oh, they got it.
dudes,
So then,
I don't think she'd have a shot if she wasn't pregnant, but...
So they go through the whole thing where it's like, her friend had spoken out. Like, whispering during a funeral procession is a bad way, is a quick way to get caught, by the way.
I think-
and so
oh, yeah.
she gets caught immediately.
Right in front of the bad guy.
Right in front of the bad
Like,
guy.
what?
Talking.
What
They're not even whispering, actually. They're talking at, like, regular volume
Yeah.
during a funeral procession. It's so...
The other thing, too, is like, okay, this is the second coming of Mary, right? Like... But she's still sort of shuffling around the convent, hanging out with everyone else. Like, come on, she'd be getting weighed on.
They don't exalt her above everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah,
They do the one ceremony, and then they're like, back to the long table.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, and they kind of, they'll wave when they pass by.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Morrowind in the game. It's like, hey, never rain.
Yeah.
It's like, what? That's the second coming of Jesus. Oh, yeah, I see her every day, though.
Yeah, it kind of lost its lust.
Yeah,
there.
like, whatever.
She's not even a natural blonde. Like, it's like...
Trust me.
So she sees an opportunity when she's about to go into labor to escape. And the escape sequence is way too drawn out. And
Well, first we're talking about the final escape scene, right?
After she kills the Mother Superior with a cross.
Yeah, well,
and
turns
chokes-
out she has a tremendous amount of strength and mobility still for a
woman who's going into
pretty
labor.
much like like minutes before her water breaks.
Her water breaks the moment she steps out the door.
Yes, but she killed the nun before.
She killed the nun.
She was with water when she killed the nun.
But then she
That's an
strangles-
important point.
Yeah, she strangles like what was the bishop or whoever it was.
Yeah, like his eminence they call him. So I don't
just
know what
strangles him
level
with a
it is. Might be
rosary.
a cardinal.
I don't think he's a cardinal. That's too high, I think. I don't know. I don't really know.
I don't know. He was
don't
wearing
know.
red.
I don't know the religion. He's got one of those funny hats, so there's that. So yeah, she kills him and then she
Strangles him with a rosary. Like, what's the string of the is that steel? Like that
it would've
breaks.
broke.
Like
It happens
he's
in-
fighting it and trying to pull it.
It happens in every movie. A rosary breaks and the beads
Yeah.
fall slowly. Not this one. This one
Nope,
it breaks the man.
Yeah. Not to mention, I think it would be very hard to strangle someone with the beads because they're indented. They're
So anyway, she ends up burning
But she
down.
did it.
She burns down the lab with the main bad guy in it, but he's used the fire extinguisher to escape. She had stolen the nail. They get into a fight in the catacombs. He tries to cut the baby out of her.
like this, yeah.
And she stabs him.
She lets her get a surprising
Dude,
amount of cutting in
guy,
on
like,
her
cut-
before
guy,
she
like,
fights back.
Cuts, like, I'm serious, like 75%. And then she crawls through this dirty hole, out into
That was
the
the
world.
rebirth.
It was the rebirth.
So in this unescapable convent, there is a very escapable hole out of their catacombs.
Yeah.
So anyone who went down there, that would have been my plan A for anyone else.
We are then treated to a scene in the movie that really
Crawls through.
got us going. Is she starts giving birth,
Oh, we laughed.
and
But
we are given. It is probably like 2 minutes of her screaming.
I wish it was even that long, but it's probably more like 60 seconds. Like
It's so long.
It's
though. It
not
feels
as long
forever.
as birth is the point,
Right,
folks. But
but
it's way too long
It's
for a
just
movie.
her screaming. It's her screaming. It's her screaming, and then we hear the most cartoonish plop sound you've ever heard.
And a thud.
And then there's like this deadpan thud. It is like somebody used like a plug-in sound effect from like
Yeah,
cartoon.
yeah.
And we were losing. This guy laughed so hard, the people in front of us actually turned around to look at, not just like over their shoulder. I mean, full
legal to laugh.
torso.
Legal to laugh, and it was
I don't know how
funny.
these people were taking it seriously.
I couldn't see how you
Dude.
could take that seriously either.
And so then she grabs a rock and she walks over. Now she's walking over to the
liked it.
baby.
I liked
I
it.
said to him, I'm like, that baby is going to start crying and she won't be able to do it. So she walks over, she holds the rock above the baby, smashes it, credits.
It was cool.
Awesome ending.
I would have liked to see whatever the evil thing is, but I feel like it would have basically come down to...
It's either normal or grotesque.
Well, I think it would look like the little South Park character on the Christmas critter. Christmas? Yeah, It's essentially that. The little Antichrist
Yeah.
infant.
No, it was.
But I like them killing it in. Again, their message is like, none of it was consensual.
None.
So why should she have kept it?
Yeah, well, she also
She didn't.
completely. She had read a Bible verse too that made her think possibly it could have been a devil baby. So, who knows?
It was making
Yeah.
unhealthy sounds, and it certainly wasn't crying as you would expect a baby to.
Right.
But it did just get birthed in like 60 seconds and she's standing.
Yeah, she's still walking around.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Nothing. No uterine tearing, I guess. Like
She bites the umbilical
Oh, I
cord.
forgot all about that. Yeah.
Like a sausage tube.
Yeah. She snapped into a Slim Jim.
Yeah. I heard they brought her a real umbilical cord
Yeah.
to chew on for that scene.
Oh God. Yeah, and that's the movie. That is our plot by plot breakdown of this movie, which is a poor substitute for the review. But I don't know.
Well, I mean,
actually ended up
thinking about the themes, like we've talked about some of that.
yeah, and things they should have done, but they didn't.
There's that, but because, we predicted a bunch of things, but I think the way we predicted was like, oh, I'd be fine with seeing that. Like, I'm cool with them being like, oh, we can genetically engineer Jesus. I'm like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that was fine with that. They set that up. The garden should have been more beautiful when she came out at the end.
Yeah,
because you
but
were
it's
like,
obvious
she's
that
in
it's the
garden. Well,
rebirth and
on a
she's in the
it's
garden.
more of a hillside. It's a cliffside,
It's
actually.
very green compared to everywhere
Yeah.
else she's been in the whole movie.
I wish they had started the movie with a brighter color palette and had gotten more kind of like desaturated as it went on, because it starts and looks very dour the whole time. So it's like
I think it kind of crests, and I think the peak is when she's in the saint garb. Like,
That's the brightest it is.
Exactly.
The
It's
blue
a
is the brightest color in the
very
movie.
colorful point.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know why she'd be unhappy. Why she
yeah.
would cry at
that point in
moment.
that movie. She should have
She
been
doesn't know there's a
ecstatic.
conspiracy at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
She literally should believe she was chosen by God. She's grown up her whole life believing she was chosen by God.
Yeah, that's the other thing
why
they
she's
say.
a nun. So why would you think it's crazy that you're chosen by God now?
Yeah, no, it just
She hasn't seen any signs of too much suffering from other people. A little bit with the branding on some of the
Yeah, and then
ladies' feet.
some of the ladies' feet, but like that also could have been a sign of devotion, like because
Yeah, she could have been self-inflicted.
because they don't know where the nail came from. When she says it's a nail that held Christ to the cross, they do zoom in on the nail that went through both of his feet. So the branding of the cross on the feet could be a sign of their devotion in reference to the nail. Like if you overlay the crosses, you create the X mark. That
I'm thinking too much about it. Come on. I mean, I think I agree with everything.
yeah, I
I'm
mean
just
that's what they
saying,
show though. That's what they show in the movie, so it's open to
they're
my
thinking
interpretation.
this much too, I
Yeah.
think.
But yeah, that movie, woof. Oh,
I liked
doctor.
it.
I tell you what, I saw Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire this week, and I liked this movie much more.
Oh, well,
I had
yeah.
more fun in this one, and I
Oh,
laughed harder.
I would agree too.
It's no Madam Web.
Well, you know who's in that?
Sydney Sweeney.
So,
That-
I agree. I haven't seen Madam Web yet, but I'm waiting for a special occasion.
Any final thoughts, bud?
I like this movie. I think the plot is fresh enough. Like conspiracy within the nun thing with the biological. Like, it's off the wall, of course.
Right.
But it's a horror movie. It's an off-the-wall horror movie. We wanted the baby to be born and be a horrific monstrosity that killed everyone in
I
the
did want that.
convent.
We did hope that
We
happened.
wanted that, and
Yeah.
that I would have been cool with.
Dude,
like,
if they had that
and it just-
baby running
yeah.
around murdering people, that would have been the perfect
like they
ending.
think it's the savior, but
Yeah.
it turns out it is something sinister.
Because then it really would have brought in that Bible verse. It's like, what is it, like,
and then Sydney Sweeney has to become survivor girl. That
kills her
way.
own baby.
Yeah. But they
Uses the nail to like pin the baby.
See, that's what I was saying.
Exactly.
I was like,
that would have been
don't
much.
get the
That would have been a
baby.
cooler movie. That would have been like Sam Raimi territory, and I would have been fine with it.
The biggest detractor to this is Sydney Sweeney's acting, but again, she does more TV and stuff.
Yeah,
and
she's done plenty. There's other options to.
if her acting is going to turn you off the movie, then don't watch it. But if you don't care like me, then you probably could still watch it.
Yeah, my biggest complaint is that it was too middling, like just in general. Like we discussed, some of the ideas that we have developed, like all they had to do is the one sentence, like "This is why God saved you." They couldn't even be bothered to do that. So there were a few missed opportunities here that kind of took me out of it. How athletic she was, considering she was about to give birth, was also a little jarring.
Yeah.
But I mean,
But I think those
It's
nuns do a
cheese.
lot of calisthenics.
cheesy fun. Cheesy
know?
fun. You know, if you and your friends like hackers, definitely.
It's a
watch it.
hacker.
So.
It is a hacker.
That's
but,
all I got. What about the,
Well, you know how nuns fight, right?
how?
Conventional warfare.
I love it. We'll see you next time.